Immigration enforcement. You might want to rethink your decision if you're hatching a plan for sneaking through the border and living the American dream. Donald Trump is set to implement what is going to be the largest deportation program in the history of the United States, targeting an estimated 11 million undocumented people living in the country. So if deportations were a competitive sport, this plan would aim for the gold. To make this plan happen, Trump wants to call a national emergency, kind of like saying, this is a really big deal. This would let him use the military, like the National Guard, to help find and send back people who came to the country without permission. Think of it as a large scavenger hunt, starring the military. He even put someone in charge of keeping an eye on the border, kind of like the top fence boss. Their job is to make sure everyone plays by the rules and doesn't sneak across. Meanwhile, Trump wants to build some really huge detention facilities to hold people who get caught crossing the border without permission. It's like he's doubling down on his build and hold plan. These places are supposed to be huge, making Amazon warehouses look like doghouses. But these mass deportations are expected to be expensive and could hurt industries like agriculture, construction, and services that depend on immigrant workers. It's like removing half the workers from a construction site and then wondering why the building isn't finished on time. Education overhaul. Say goodbye to the Department of Education, which might become an attraction in a U.S. history museum. Trump wants to get rid of the Department of Education so that schools have more freedom to make their own choices. Instead of having one big boss in charge of all the schools across the country, he thinks each state should get to decide how to handle education on its own. Donald Trump picked Linda McMahon, who used to run WWE wrestling and now works on education ideas, to be in charge of schools. She wants parents to have more say in their kids' education and thinks families should get to pick the schools they like the best. And her WWE background might actually help, because fixing schools can feel like a wrestling match where nobody's sure who's on whose team. The big idea here is about giving families more options for schools. Trump supported something called the Educational Choice for Children Act. This plan helps kids in kindergarten through 12th grade by offering scholarships funded through tax credits. The main goal is to let states have more control over education money and encourage schools to improve by competing to be the best. Think of it as the Hunger Games, but instead of districts fighting for survival, schools battle it out for funding and higher test scores. Finally, the administration targeted the reduction of woke propaganda in public schools. This involved efforts to eliminate federal programs the administration believes promote certain ideas, to refocus education on traditional academic subjects and values. In other words, they aim to ensure that he and she stayed in English classes instead of biology debates. Energy production. You've heard of Ice Ice Baby, but wait till you hear about Trump's Drill Drill Baby. His policies on energy production basically revolve around pumping up the gas on fossil fuel output and reducing regulatory constraints. It's like the country is hitting the gas pedal hard on fossil fuels, even though the check engine light is blinking, trying to warn Trump about the dangers of using too much of them. It's like Trump thinks the best way to fix a hole in the ozone layer is by making another one in the ground. His plan includes letting more drilling happen on federal lands and in the ocean, hoping it will help the U.S. get more energy on its own and make gas and electricity cheaper, because nothing says freedom quite like having an oil rig as your new neighbor. Trump's energy plan is about making it easier and faster for companies to work on energy projects. He thinks some environmental rules take too long and slow things down, so instead of reading the instructions, he wants regulatory bodies to wing it to speed the process up. This way, he hopes companies will invest more in energy and improve how we get and use energy across the country. Tax reforms. Taxes may not be your favorite topic, but Donald Trump's tax policies may be a welcome sign if you hate piling receipts in stacks higher than Mount Everest. His tax plan is all about keeping the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017 around longer, since it's supposed to go away in 2025. This law made things like personal income taxes lower, gave people a bigger tax break, and cut taxes for businesses too. It's basically a tax diet plan, though corporations might call it their cheat day. Diet goes something like this: lowering the tax for big companies from 21% to 18% and reducing the tax on money made from investments from 20% to 15%. It's like he wants to throw a holiday sale for taxes, making them a bit lighter for everyone. The administration is also considering a simplification of the tax code. One proposal suggests implementing two flat tax rates, 15% for incomes up to the Social Security wage base and 30% for incomes above that threshold. It's a tax code you can finally understand without hiring an expensive accountant. Federal bureaucracy reduction. President Donald Trump is probably readying his new slogan, "Make Bureaucracy Great Again," to streamline the federal government. To tackle red tape, he's unleashed the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, which has nothing to do with the dog meme. Led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, DOGE aims to sniff out inefficiencies in the government. Musk and Ramaswamy, no strangers to ambitious ideas, have unleashed DOGE's boldest targets, slicing $2 trillion off the federal budget, a move dubbed Operation Wallet Weight Watchers. Their plan is to get rid of wasteful spending, like cleaning out an old closet full of stuff nobody uses anymore. Then they want to shrink over 400 government agencies down to fewer than 100, kind of like a giant version of tidying up, where if something doesn't help things run better, it's time to say goodbye. These reforms are part of a broader plan to overhaul the federal government, aiming to turn it into a lean, mean efficiency machine. Supporters cheer the moves as necessary to tame the bureaucratic beast. At the same time, critics warn of chaos and disruption, fearing federal employees might end up filing for unemployment faster than they can file their next report. Foreign aid cuts. As they say in airplanes, you must put on your life vest before helping others. Donald Trump is taking that idea and using it for the U.S. by focusing more on helping America before helping other countries. He wants to cut back on giving money to other countries, something he tried to do before but couldn't because Congress said no. Now he seems more determined to try again. A major influence on these changes is Project 2025, made by some conservative leaders to change how the government works. One part of the plan says that the U.S. should only spend money on things that clearly help America. If a project doesn't scream America, it's not going to get a single cent. The plan also talks about cutting money for things like fighting climate change and programs about reproductive health, which were not very popular during Trump's time as president. International organizations are understandably nervous, like kids who hear their parents fighting about college funds. The World Bank is worried about losing help from the United States, especially since people have been looking closely at how money is being spent. They're afraid that without enough money, important projects to help people could dry up quickly, like puddles in the sun. Military expansion. There seems to be a focus on using guns and tanks to solve every problem in the world, as Trump is looking to expand the U.S. military during his second administration. A central theme is expanding and restructuring military capabilities to address domestic and international challenges, essentially making sure Uncle Sam can flex his muscles in space and at home. One big news story is that Trump picked Pete Hegseth to be in charge of the military. Hegseth used to be a host on Fox News and is a veteran who served in the Army National Guard. He thinks the military should focus more on being ready to fight and less on programs about diversity, which some people have nicknamed woke weaponry. Trump's vision also includes creating a space National Guard, a group that's there to, yes, guard space. Analysts believe this plan will likely launch under Trump's watch. If that happens, Guardians of the Galaxy might stop being a movie and become a job title. Trump's plan for dealing with other countries is kind of like trying to show he's the biggest, toughest kid on the playground, but also willing to make trades with his friends. He wants to show off America's strength with money and the military, especially in places like Ukraine, the Middle East, and Asia. He's also planning to take a hard stance on China, but might talk things out to help end the war in Ukraine. It's a bit like mixing a business deal with a wrestling match, because there's lots of tough talk and big moves. Voter ID. Let's say you're going to vote for the presidential election. As you're in the polling booth, someone tells you you've already voted earlier this morning, even though you didn't. This is impossible and just plain wrong, unless you master time travel. But this scenario is essentially the idea of voter fraud, when candidates use dubious tactics to secure votes from people who didn't even vote for them. That's why Donald Trump wants to bring back the voter ID. Basically, a voter ID is some sort of identification you need to show before you can vote. The idea is to prevent voter fraud by ensuring everyone who votes is actually who they say they are. So a big 30-year-old dude can't go to the nearest polling place and claim he's your 75-year-old aunt. At first, you might think it sounds simple, but it actually isn't. A lot of people agree with Trump's policy of bringing back voter ID because it makes elections more secure, thereby boosting public confidence in the integrity of the results. But not everyone is buying into this proposal. The thing about the voter ID is that it isn't very accessible to everyone. Low-income people, minorities, and seniors might not be able to vote because they can't access their voter ID or don't have enough resources to get them. Imagine telling a single mother working 18 hours a day to line up and pay fees for a voter ID when they can't even get enough sleep or have enough money to eat 3 square meals a day. Now you get why the voter ID isn't exactly very popular. Technology and AI development. You know that Donald Trump can't run for president anymore after his second term, but there may be an exemption for Robo-Trump. That's because Trump is set to shake the tech world up by prioritizing technological advancements and artificial intelligence, which could be great for tech giants like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Apple. On top of that, AI is expected to play an even bigger role in national defense, making it clear that innovation won't just be about flashy consumer gadgets, because it'll also have serious strategic implications. Imagine Mr. Trump as a gardener, snipping away at big, twisty vines that make it hard for new inventions to grow. He's wearing a hard hat, and every time he cuts a vine, he shouts, "Freedom!" What he's really doing is making fewer rules for companies that want to create cool stuff, like cars that drive themselves, or robots that can do your homework. This means tech companies can be super creative and try new things without worrying about tripping over many rules. But hold on to your algorithms, because it's not all smooth sailing for big tech. While the administration is fine with letting innovation zoom forward like a Tesla on autopilot, the government still keeps an eye on the big tech giants, those companies that already have all the candy. It's like being on the playground. You want everyone to have fun, but you don't want the biggest kids stealing all the swings. Then there's the Elon Musk factor. With Musk and other tech heavyweights cozying up to the administration, there's a good chance their projects, like autonomous vehicles and advanced AI systems, will get a significant boost. Whether you see Musk as a visionary or just a savvy businessman, his influence in Washington could reshape the tech landscape in ways that are hard to predict. Cryptocurrency support. During his campaign, Trump strongly supported digital assets, pledging to position the United States as the crypto capital of the planet. Apparently, making America great again now involves giving Bitcoin a red MAGA hat. One of Trump's ideas is to create a special stash of Bitcoin to make it a bigger part of the country's money plan. But anyone would naturally wonder if you can call this a stable economy if your reserve fund could get compromised if someone misplaces the crypto wallet password. Let's hope the nuclear codes have better security. This plan shows that they really want to make cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or Dogecoin, a big part of how the country runs its money stuff. Imagine Trump saying in a big speech, "Hey everyone, Dogecoin is crushing it." To make this happen, Trump wants to pick people who think there should be fewer rules about crypto. This could make it easier for new ideas and businesses to grow, but it also means there's a bigger chance someone might lose their savings buying a picture of a silly monkey online. This is a big change from how things were before, making it less tricky for crypto companies to do their thing. But if more people start using crypto, get ready for kids trying to explain Bitcoin mining to their totally confused grandparents. The market reacted positively to these changes. After Trump's election win, Bitcoin soared past $75,000, hitting a new record high, fueled by hopes for a more crypto-friendly regulatory approach from the new administration. Somewhere, a guy who famously spent 10,000 BTC on 2 pizzas in 2010 is sobbing. We on this channel see likes and subscriptions as cryptocurrency, because the more views we get, the happier we'll be. So please subscribe to our channel. Infrastructure investment. Building on previous initiatives, Trump aims to leave behind political debates and a legacy of bridges, roads, and pipelines so robust that not even a kid with a million-piece Lego set could build better infrastructure. Trump's idea for fixing up roads, bridges, and other stuff we all use is kind of like playing a giant game of SimCity, but with real money. The plan is to take $200 billion from the government and use it to convince rich people and local leaders to pitch in a whopping $1.5 trillion for all these projects. A big part of the plan is to help out small towns and rural areas where things like Wi-Fi might still feel like magic. By focusing on these places, the goal is to make life better, help their economies grow, and maybe people stream Netflix without it pausing every 5 seconds. To get things done quicker, they also want to cut down on the endless paperwork and rules that slow down projects. The idea is to build stuff faster, spend less money, and stop people from asking, "Why is this taking forever?" during every city meeting. City leaders want to team up with state and local governments to fix some big problems with roads, trains, and buildings, starting with Penn Station in New York City. The dream is a modern transportation hub that makes Grand Central look like a small antique store. Subway upgrades are also on the docket, hopefully turning the phrase "stuck on a train" extinct. Essentially, Trump's 2025 infrastructure plan is an ambitious DIY project that reads like a recipe for a nationwide glow-up. Private capital, rural TLC, fewer bureaucratic hurdles, and some energy independence.